No, okay, got it.
Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. Our guest today is Maury Pittman. Maury, are you ready to be great today?
I'm doing great. How are you? Let's get it.
I'm great, yes. Maury Pittman is a dad, personal trainer, team maker, and entrepreneur. For over 20 years, Maury has supported and assisted others in their personal fitness and life journeys. His commitment to his clients runs deep, and is only surpassed by his commitment and dedication to his boys, 13-year-old Gavin and 11-year-old Tyler. So, Maury, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, so right off the bat, you have this tea company called Maury's Hive Tea. And on
Yep.
your website, you said you reinvented the tea bag. How
Correct.
does it, like, how do you reinvent a tea bag, right? Is that like a hundreds of year old tradition? Like, how do you reinvent a tea bag? Talk about how that works, how that came
Okay.
about.
Okay. Good question. Good question. Well, when we first started out, I wasn't a huge green tea drinker. I dibble and dabbed with the black tea because of energy. Being a personal trainer and former nutritionist, I knew the benefits of drinking tea. Uh, and by reinventing the tea bag, I mean, tea bag comes with, just tea in it, whether it be any type of, green, black, gray tea, oolong, there's different numbers of teas. But what we did was we literally added a physical sweetener to the tea bag, which has never been done. You've had products where they maybe spray on a type of, sweetener, but never a physical sweetener. We added granulated honey, and there's so many different tea brands out there. So I get asked quite often, what makes your tea brand so so much different? And I just say, look, I said we add whole leaf tea, or loose leaf tea, which most brands don't use because it's a pretty expensive. Lipton and Tetley, they use that really fine grind up tea with very limited taste. But we use a whole leaf, and we add a certain amount of granulated honey in our tea bag, and it just took off from there. It was funny when I first started out. Again, I try to explain to people as a personal trainer now, trying to push tea on. And it's funny. It was all in house. I worked at New York Sports Club for about 10 years, and that's when I got started with the product. So I use all the clients, my own clients, as guinea pigs, and it caught on, and here we are today. So it took a long time, though. That's the thing. It took a good while. I almost threw in the towel a few times, but
Now,
I knew we had some. Yeah.
do you still do your personal fitness training too for your clients?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
basically,
Yes.
you have two jobs, so to speak, right? The first personal fitness
Two
and the
full.
tea.
That's right. Two full-time jobs. I can't give up training until. I mean, I actually let some of my clients go so I can put more time into Maury's high tea. But still I got to bring home the bacon on a regular basis. So right now I'm my own boss. I freelance. I do mostly in homes. I do some gyms, but mostly in homes. That's where the money is. And it's funny. I love this work. I love working with people. I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm getting older now, and with a child with serious disabilities, it's not going to fit the bill. The next 10 years or so. Like I said, I'm not young by any means. Not old, but I'm not young. So I think Maury's high tea can really get me over that hump. My boys are everything to me. My youngest Tyler, we talked about his disability. You mentioned it really quick. They're my heart and soul. They were the main reasons why I never threw in the towel. Because I knew I had something special. And throughout we had my partner Melanie Smith, before my investors came on. We were grinding it out for 8 years. It was challenging to say the least. We knew we had something special, but again, my motivation was my boys. Yeah, I know I see myself, making a good future doing this, making a good amount of money, but I need to take care of my boys. They're my heart and soul. So
So, Maury, I want to go back on something real fast. Can you talk
yes.
about the 8 years? Like, I think a lot of entrepreneurs join like entrepreneur journey now that they have this mindset because they see Silicon Valley on TV, they see Mark Zuckerberg, they see all the Steve Jobs
Hmm.
stories. They
Hmm.
think it's like you wake up, have an idea, 6 months later you have a Ferrari, right? I mean, you've been doing this for
No.
8 years, right? And like
Oh
you're
no, longer.
longer,
12 years. I've been doing it. Yeah,
12
12
years.
years.
And you're
12
doing
years.
well,
Yes.
but it's not like you're like famous or a billionaire,
No.
right? Can you talk
No.
about
No.
like the journey, like the 8 year journey you've been on?
Absolutely. Well, once you start, obviously when you have a new product, you have to get your business license. And so we actually took on investors prior to this, but they didn't really do too much for us. But they did help us get started as far as the paperwork and filing for our trademark and all that things. That was all. That's still easy stuff. The hard part is getting your product out there to people who already have their minds made up on what they like. For instance, we have a lot of people out there who, for instance, won't bother, with tea with any sweetener at all, which is fine. But there are a lot of people out there who do love, tea with honey because of the benefits and everything. But when we first started out, we got lucky. We went to our very first store and said, hey, yeah, we like this. Come set up and do a sample. So that's how we first started. That was about 10 years ago. And then we started doing samples. And then as a trainer at New York Sports Club, I was making 500 bags a week, upwards of 500 bags a week on orders. I would bring them in and they would go. So I knew we were onto something. So I supplied a lot of my, actually a lot of it was in home. I don't want to tongue tied here. A lot of people from the gym supported me at first. They were, look, we love what you're doing. So I had about maybe 25, 30 people from the gym by itself going to buy the product. And then the biggest thing is advertising. When you have no money, or marketing, when you have no money, pretty much everything's word of mouth. It's tough. I mean, and when I say I almost threw in the towel a few times, there were nights I woke up, or nights I went to sleep crying because I knew we had something special. But we tried to get loans from the banks. We tried grants from the government, which is a complete joke, in my opinion.
Yeah, sometimes people say like go to Small Business Administration to get a loan. I'm like, that should really mean that no chance at all get a loan unless you have only way to get a loan from them if you don't need the loan, right?
Well, it was, yeah, exactly. It's a catch-22. Well, how much capital do you have? You have to have at least $30,000 capital in order to get. It doesn't make any sense. So, with the banks, we had basically gave up on the banks. We knew from day one. In particular after the 2008 economy, took a hit. Well, the banks really clamped down on giving out money. In fact, I had a conversation with my former bank, which was Wells Fargo, and they said to me, I said, do you guys offer any grants, for small business? And the lady looked me right in the face and said, no, we're into bringing in money, not giving out money at this point. So it was a stark contrast. I mean, it woke me up to say, you know what, just back off and go find means, elsewhere. But marketing, obviously you need a good marketing, but you need to get your product out there. And we did not have that in the beginning. So we literally crawled before we walked. I think before our partners came on, we probably had about 15 stores. And I would say probably before my partners came on, we were probably averaging maybe 2 orders a month, but that was something to us because, if we knew that if this could catch on, it could really grow. So, but to all those who trying to start a business, you can't give up. And I want to talk to you about that as well. When you look at the world today, if you have an idea, guys, take a chance because the world we live in today. And again, I don't want to talk politics too much, but the rich keep getting richer, and the rest of us are left fending for ourselves. So you look at the situation with a lot of people not wanting to go back to work after the pandemic. I get it, and some of these people have ideas. I have about a good 8 to 10 friends who are waiting to get on as well. So most of them people of color. So my thing to them is, if I can pull this off, I'm coming back to pull you guys up, because no one else is giving us help at all. It's a tough situation out there right now. But my advice to the wannabe entrepreneurs, it's waking up 6 months later and having $1 million in your bank account is an absolute fallacy. It's not going to work. You have to put the time in. You have to do your research on no matter what you're doing, and the most important thing is you have to believe in what you're doing, believe in your product. Maury's Hive Tea basically sells itself. Once people try our product, they like it. So, it's not like I have to twist and turns, jump through hoops for people to like my product. Again, once you try it, we pretty much have them sold. So, excuse my friends, there's some good shit we have out there right now, and it's catching on. And like I said, it's scary. I tell my partner Mel all the time. I said, look, I said, there's no turning back once we, go down this route. I said, because it could blow up. And me being the face of the product, I don't have a problem speaking in front of people. As a trainer, I did classes for years, 20, 25 people controlling the class and, in these small group areas. So I was always comfortable with, presenting myself in front of people. I've always tried to take care of myself, mentally and physically. I'm not young. I'm going to put it out there. I'm 54. But I can hang with the 35-year-olds, so to speak.
So Maury, talk about
yeah,
this real fast. Like, a lot of people think, like your people in the 40s, 50s, putting out to retire, get a rocking chair out. Like me personally, I'm 53. I have so much fire, focus in my belly, right? Like I could imagine like retiring, right? Like, can you talk about how to have like this fire in your belly, so to speak, and like still wanted to like do stuff, add value, like just like kick ass, so to speak?
that's right. Well, for me, it's I've always had a lot of energy. It's funny, when I graduated college, I did a internship, and I remember doing the internship and sitting there. At the time, just graduated college. I was into martial arts, not yet a personal trainer, but I was getting there, heading toward that direction. And I remember sitting in that office for 8 hours, looking at that clock, and I said, you know what? I can't do this. I cannot do this. I graduated with a business management degree. And I said, you know what? I got to get out there. I'm antsy. I've always had a lot of energy. I've always, like I said, I lived in the gym. I started doing push-ups at 13 and I haven't looked back since. I love to work out. I love to take care of myself. I love to help other people out. And I got to say, working out, and this, I know this sounds cliche, but working out, taking care of yourself, getting old can wait for me. Like I said, I had my first child at 40. So you can imagine. So I took it upon myself to, for them mainly, to, keep myself fit, my mind straight, not a heavy, I don't drink a lot. Just, and again, I have a lot of passion for helping other people take care of themselves. The results are, and believe it or not, I keep all of my, all the people that I've met to help me get my business started were all in-house clients that I met, previously, or former clients and present, whether it be lawyers, whether it be, graphic design artists, whether it be, you name it, whoever. I stayed within house. I didn't have to search far to get things done as far as getting Maury's Hive tea off the ground. But, as far as energy, you guys, taking care of yourself is key, physically taking care of yourself. Like I said, I'm 54 years old, and, like I said, getting old can wait. I have a lot of energy. I work out 4 to 5 times a week. Although I am coming off a rotator cuff surgery. I just had it about almost 4 months ago. But I'm coming back from that. My range of motion, you can see that. I can move my arms, guys. That was tough. That was challenging for the first couple of months, not being able to do anything. Because I'm not used to that. I'm used to being active, so I went back into the gym after about a month and a half of having surgery and worked the rest of my body because I could not sit on my ass and do nothing. I was just too antsy. But I tell people, it's the older you get in your 40s, 50s, yeah, most people start to slow down, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you take care of yourself, eat right, take care of yourself physically. Like I said, I know most people are not going to live in a gym like I do. But if you can get out there, average 2 to 3 times a week, and get a meaningful workout in every time you go in, you're going to benefit from that. And like I said, my boys, my everything. So I have to stay in tip-top shape in order to make sure to push this thing through to make sure that it happens.
Yeah,
So,
I had the same surgery a couple of years ago on my right shoulder. And I know exactly what we went through. Yeah, well, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all.
oh no, it's not. And I've had, it's funny. I had, this is my rotator cuff surgery is my 5th surgery. I had shoulder surgery on my left side, knee surgery, hip surgery, elbow surgery, but by far that was the worst to come back from. Mentally, you're sitting there, you're like, you can't move. My dominant hand at that, so my left hand's got, has to do everything to the point to where that even started hurting. So
it's definitely a mind shift.
It's a mental fuck, literally. Excuse my French, but yeah. But again, I knew that once I had to stick with it. I had a great support group. My partner Melanie, who's wonderful. She picked up the slack for Maury's Hive tea while I was down and out. And that's the thing. That's another thing. If you're gonna have partners, you and your partner's gonna have to be on the same page. Melanie picked. My youngest son, who's has severe epilepsy. There were times when I had to be called because he would just have a grand mal seizure and have to be rushed to the hospital. And I would be called from work or whatever to meet him at the hospital. But Melanie took over the fort and ran the machine while I was down. So, I was fortunate to have her in my life because, again, without her, I would not be here today. And, when Greg and those guys first came on as investors, although it's my product and my name's on it, Melanie was there from day one. I said, look, guys, I said, you can't exclude this woman. And now Greg gets it, because now, with the three, we're a three-man team right now. And Melanie, I would say Melanie carries, me being the face of the product. She makes the product. She deals with all the people, the shipping, the stores. That's all her, and you can't run a business by yourself. So you need good people. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to have her on my side. And to this day, she's great with my boys. I couldn't ask for a better person to be around. We're going to grow this business together, and I want to make sure that she's well taken care of as well. So, again, those entrepreneurs, you can't do it by yourself. You're going to have, meaningful people who can pick up the slack and that you can trust, because, again, you're running a business here, and they can go south in a second if you're not prepared.
So Maury, back to entrepreneurial challenges and talk about this. Like, you start the company, there's so much set of problems you got to do, and then talk about how like you raise some seed investment. A lot of people say, "Oh man, I raised X amount of money, I'm successful, I'm doing good." But actually, there's a whole new set of problems and challenges, right? Because now you got to actually, before you're thinking, you had a plan to perform. Now you actually got to perform, right? You got to make shit happen because people's money are invested in your company. Talk about how that's a new set of problems.
Damn right. Well, again, that's just more added pressure. But again, before my partners came on, I mean, I'm not, we were used to working hard, having two jobs, juggling, two children. One was, like I said, one with severe disabilities. So it's a struggle, but before, like I said, before the guys came on, we were hustling. When they came on, basically what it did was it gave us a kick in the ass. Is what it did. It gave us that little extra motivation to say, okay, we have people who are not riding on us, who believe on us, who are investing their hard-earned money. Let's go out there and produce. So my partner Greg, who kind of set up a format for us as far as a new business plan, because of course I had my own business plan before they came on. And we decided, look, let's take on roles, and we all have to be responsible for those roles. For instance, like I said, I'm the face of the program, so I'm doing the interviews, I'm going to the stores, I'm meeting all the managers and owners, and trying to pitch my product. And then you have Mel, who is making the tea and dealing with the customers and making sure that everything gets out on time. And then you have Greg on the other on the back end, who's handling all of the money and the finances. And so it all has to come together. But like I said, we're only a three-man team. I'm sure we're going to grow as our business grows. But now that we have investors, like I said, once they came aboard, I didn't feel like I had anything to prove because we were already out there. But we had the means to have a further reach. So by going, having an extra $50,000 capital as opposed to only having $2,000 in the bank, it's a big difference. And then plus it's all how you spend your money. So we spend our money wisely. Like I said, I was on the road last year. To give an example. We went to 250 stores in 4 months. Well, I did. I went to 250 stores in 4 months and ended up getting 50 accounts. And that doesn't sound like much, but you're looking at a 20%, a little less than that ratio, which is great. Because Cisco, we went to Cisco and they said, "Okay, how many stores you have?" Before we went out, we have about 15, 20 stores. Well, we need you to do a little bit more than that. And then you guys can come back to us to prove that you guys can get your product in the stores. So we did that, and I went out there pounding the pavement, and it wasn't, you're being told 90% or not 90, but a lot of it, nah, we're good, or we have enough teas, or they just didn't understand our product. But again, pounding the pavement, and again, what I did was during that pandemic, believe it or not, 2020 was our best year. Most people had the worst year, but for Maury's Hive Tea, it was our best year as far as growth. Like I said, the last 4 months of last year, I got out there and I was like, you know what? I'm motivated. I have a backing. I have a tank full of gas. Let's get out there. Let's go get it. And I went out there with the mask on and everything. And people they jumped on it. So and not only that, but we're getting they're following up. They're running out and we're reaching out and we need more. And that's how you grow your business.
So Maury, you said earlier before you said you had your own business plan. But the new two people had it, and they did a new business plan for you. Can you talk about the points of like being humble, being open to new ideas as a CEO? Like a lot of people like, this is my idea, no one can change it. This is nothing else. But can you talk about maybe just people out there smarter than you can make your business better, right?
Right. Well, before my partners actually came along, I knew that you're gonna have to give up something. And that I think the hardest part was, Jason, was giving up as much, it's like if someone said to me, it's better to own, 90%, or I'm sorry, it's better to own 30% of a $10 million business as opposed to 90% of a $100,000 business.
Yeah.
So my biggest, shell shock was giving out all that percentage to a few people who just put in a few dollars. But I get it. It took a second to really, to clamp on. I'm investing in my own business as well. I put my own money in as well. So, but you have to have that understanding that you have to let some of it go. One thing I would not let them do is change my ingredients. That was not going to be touched. So before we signed anything, we said, look, we can change the packaging, we can do different things, but as far as Maury's Hive tea and how we have it set up, I do not want that touched. And they agreed. They said, look, we can, my partner Greg, who I basically sold in 15 minutes after talking to him, said, look, I tasted the product. It's great. Now we got to figure out a way to get it out there. So when you take on new investors, you have to prove to them that, you can't be afraid to work, Jason. You got to, it's hard work.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a 9-to-5 entrepreneur, right?
No. And you have to be able to step it up. When they came along, we put together a good plan. Greg, myself, and Melanie, and said, look, how can we, after speaking with Cisco, the big distribution company, said, you need, if you can get into at least 30 stores, we can talk. So after, at the end of last year, we were in, like I said, 50 plus stores, went back to them, they're like, oh shit, okay. You guys did it. How'd you do it? You never know our game plan. Because in fact, now what they want to do is that to push our product, I'm going to have to go out on the road with their salespeople to show them how to push and how to present the product to store managers and owners. Because they when they found out, like I said, how did you get 50 stores or that many stores in a short period of time? It was, again, you have to have a decent approach. You have to have confidence in what you're doing, and after a while, it all sounds the same, but you're dealing with different individuals every time, so it just flows. And then the packaging is another thing. I don't know if I think we did send you the product, or maybe I think your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter. Yeah. My daughter's gonna do a review for you on your website. Like, she was just blown away with the packaging, how it looks. My daughter's like, she does like weddings and big time events. She's the creative designer or that design stuff I have no idea about. Yeah, she just really loved how it's packaged.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Once I took the packaging out of the bag, I had their attention, because packaging is everything. And I thought we had decent packaging before we redid it, but not even close. And again, once we take it out, that's how you catch it. Oh wow, what is this? You give it to them, they look at the packaging, they put it. People who have the glass up, put the glass, they start reading, and okay, they'll say either give me, let me try it out first. And that's when Melanie would come in. She would do the follow-ups, and she is relentless when it comes to follow. If she didn't get you that day, until you give her an answer, she will not give up. And that's what you need on your team. I had one guy say to me when I dropped off tea at the store for the first time, he goes, wow, your partner is relentless.
That's what you need in a business nowadays.
That's how you got to be. That's right. And, like I said, I praise her because, she's built for that, and like I tried to convince Greg and those guys in the beginning, look, Melanie's also the face. Well, then it took them a while to realize that, maybe a good 6 months. And then once they realized the responsibility that she took on and that she continues to carry to this day, it's probably, you can't replace her. So, but yeah, yeah.
So Mark, let's switch a little bit. Let's go to something kind of personal. So your youngest son has epilepsy. Can you talk about what is epilepsy? So people don't know what is that.
Well, epilepsy is you're prone to seizures. Now, there are different levels of seizures. There's grand mal, meaning the worst you can have, which is, you literally stop breathing for 2 minutes plus, which is dangerous. And you can also have, on a lower level, you can have what they call breakthrough seizures, which are more like flinches, eye flinches, a glitch, like, where you kind of just move. And a few things set it off for him. It's all in the brain. The sun can trigger it. Lack of sleep can trigger it. High temperature can trigger it, and also obviously trauma to the head. For instance, let me give an example. I just dropped my kids off before they spent the night with me last night. So I'm on the way back home, and my youngest son's name is Tyler. He's sitting in the back seat, and I have to make sure that the sun is not coming in anywhere where it's hitting him in the face. He's literally like a moth to a flame, and he looks into the sun, and then boom, it triggers seizures. So, but the biggest problem with seizures in kids today is our medical world, which is so advanced today, doesn't have seizure medication for children. So the biggest problem that I had in the beginning, because I already knew about seizure medications because of a previous job that I had years ago when I was in college. I worked at a group home, and one of the women had seizures, and I administered her meds. It was called phenobarbital for adults, mainly for adults. Well, not for children. Well, in order to stop his grand mal seizures at the age of 3 months, they had to put him on a heavy dose of a serious seizure medication. Well, that entailed basically just stunning his growth. It stopped his brain from developing. It was, you damn if you do, damn if you don't. Ty's a lot of work. He's 100% dependent, and like I said, he still wears diapers. He's 11 years old, still wears diapers, and it's a tough job.
So is this like based on, is this like hereditary genetics? Just
no,
like just unluck of the draw, so to speak, or just
it was unluck of the draw.
Okay.
It just happened. No, we actually think it was something that happened during birth. But we said we can't change it. We didn't want to go down that rabbit hole trying to accuse anyone or going after anyone. We say, you know what, this is the hand we were dealt. He's my son, regardless. I'm going to raise him, take care of him, protect him, and do what I can to make sure that he has the most comfortable life. And it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of work. But Jason, these boys, they motivate me every single day. And it's tiring. It can be tiring. You come home, you come home at times when you're just not, you're very tired and you had a long day. And I got my boys, and Tyrick, he does require some attention. He likes to be around. He loves Melanie.
So your youngest son,
constantly hugging me, kissing me on it.
Your youngest son, you're basically gonna have to take care of him the rest for his whole life, correct?
Absolutely, 100%. So, and one thing I want to avoid, Jason, is putting him into these institutions, these days, because when I attended Northeastern back in the day, a long time ago, and I went there for about a year, and I got a part-time job as a orderly at a mental hospital. And so I dealt with people with all different levels of disabilities, and I saw how those companies or those institutions were ran, and I didn't like it. It was sad. You had, you hired people who the job, it was like a revolving door of staff because they couldn't handle the job. And people like my son Ty. So you would hire these people, unsavory people who were just not, people who had no experience, but they were desperate for help. So they pay them, at the time, it was like $10 an hour. And I've seen some of these clients get abused and, lawsuits, and I want no part of that for my son. So, if I could, get the means to take care of him now and then pass that down to my son, Gavin, somehow continue. But, if I can avoid, having to put him in an institution. I mean, and I haven't mentioned his mother. He does have a mom. But we obviously not together anymore, but she's about around my age. So, he's only 11. So 30 years from now, I'm going to be in my 80s. I won't even think about that. But, and I do worry about my son's well-being. So, like I said, to be able to have the finances to get him the best help possible, as opposed to putting him in a state institution and you get what you get. And, I can't see that happening. He's too precious to me. And, in fact, it makes me emotional even talking about it because, he's going to need help for the rest of his life. And, I talked to my son, Gavin, look, it's going to be our job to take care of our boy, your brother, my son. And he gets it, so, but, I'm living here now in the moment. That's a ways away. I feel great. I'm healthy. My boys are healthy, and we're living the day to day right now.
So Marvin, maybe it brings up another good point. A lot of time when people start a company, they know it's your hard work, all blase, but people don't realize life goes on, right? Like you still gotta wash clothes, take your kids to school,
That's right.
And then not only for yourself, like your stuff happens to employees too. Like you might have like 10 people, 4 people working for you, right? One of them might say, hey, I'm about to get a divorce, so I'm not gonna be focused. Some of us might say, you know, well, this going on. Everyone has personal stuff going on. And I mean,
Right.
people, I
Yeah.
don't think people get that right. Life still happens, right? And you got to
That's
deal
right.
with it.
Amen. And you know, like I said, like I said, I was fortunate enough to, you know, with Ty, especially with the business, I was fortunate enough to have, like I said, I praise Melanie again. When I had to go and tend to Ty, you know, a couple of times I had to go down to give an example. Ty wears a feeding tube. He, you know, because at the time we had to administer his medication through his feeding tube. Because obviously, you know, he wasn't going to take these big pills. He wasn't, you know, he spit it out. One time, his feeding tube came out while he was in school, and the nurse at the school didn't know how to put it back in. So I had to leave my personal training job to go down to his school to literally grab some gloves, put his tube back in. And I looked at her and I said, you know, I was a little annoyed because I was like, you know, if you're going to have these kids in this school, you should be able to know how to do these things. And she was, oh, you could tell she was a little skeeved out. And after that semester, we took him out of that school because, again, you know, like I said, we have lives. So when he's in school, I'm thinking that he's taken care of, but that wasn't the case. So
Yeah,
I had
I'm
to leave.
like you're a nurse, right? Like you are a
That's
nurse,
right.
right? Like,
That's right.
am I missing
That's
something
right.
here? Or are you like a play nurse,
That's
a practice nurse, or are you actually a nurse?
Yeah, and I let her have it. I let her have it, you know, because rightfully so. And then I went to administration, and then I said, look, I said, you know, these women are not trained to deal with him. Then why is he here? You know, this may happen again. He pulled it out, not intentionally. He pulled it out. So, but like I said, needless to say, after that semester, he never went back. And he's been in quite a few schools. In fact, right now there's a case going on in the school that he's in about more abuse towards other children. So it's an ongoing thing, Jason. You have to. It's always in the back of your mind, you know, because. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your video
Okay.
went off though. Yeah,
Okay.
you're back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know, it's an ongoing thing. It's constant. Now there's lawsuits, and you know, now I'm worried about my son to make sure that he wasn't one of the kids that was being abused. Come to find out that he wasn't. But the school that he's in now again, we have to look for another school. So it's constant, you know. And you know, my ex, who, you know, she does all that part, you know, finding the schools and everything, because obviously I can't do it all. She does that part of it, but it's exhausting. And you know, for Ty, it's I don't, you know, he's my everything, and to hear that those kids are being abused, it's you know, it hurts. It really does hurt because a lot of these times, these people who work in these jobs don't have a lot of patience for these kids. They're there for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with Ty, it's he's my everything. So I'll stop the world if I have to go tend to him. You know, and Greg, my partner, and Melanie, who, like I said, who had to pick up the slack, they're well aware of that. So if I have to drop the ball right now and go, then you know they're there to pick up the slack. So
that's good for you. So Maury, back to your
but
business.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But yeah.
Talk about your Maury's guarantee that you have for your team.
Okay. Well, I mean, it says it all. If you don't like our team, we'll give you back your money. I mean, and again, the one I think the reason why most people do not like our product is because they don't like it with sweetener. Other than that, it's a good balance. I mean, it's the honey doesn't overtake the tea. And another good thing about it is you can time it. You can time your level of sweetness. So in other words, when I do my demos at these stores, I always make the batch of just a hint of honey, you know, not too sweet, which is about 4 minutes. If you like it sweeter, just leave the tea bag in, and the sweetener does its thing. So it's you know, we give people options, you know, not just you know a level sweetness, but a level of sweetness to where you like it. Me, you know, I like to leave it in the tea bag in, like get it as sweet as possible. But you know, I have people say I leave it in for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and I love it. And on top of that, if you take it out after 3.5, 4 minutes, you can actually reuse the bag. You can make another maybe 8 ounces. So it's and I stand behind it. But you know, it's funny. We have yet to have to give money back. hasn't happened yet. So you know,
for your honey, it's called granulated honey, right?
Yes, sir.
What is that exactly?
Well, what you do is honey can't bind by itself. So what they do is they take raw sugar and they mix it and they bake it and they make it into a crystallized formation. And then they break it up, they grind it up, and then you have granulated honey. And it's a good we all know honey has the health benefits, and I think a lot of people. So, let me give an example. A lot of people, the average person uses about a tablespoon of honey, which is about 40 calories. One of our bags is only 28 calories. And I think for people with diabetes, people who are trying to watch their weight, people who have issues with sugar, this is a great product. Again, I mean, it's people say sugar. We use cane sugar. There's no way to crystallize honey without a hard sugar, whether it be agave or sugar in the raw, whatever. But we decided to use cane sugar because cane sugar is its most natural form. I mean, you got a lot of crappy sugars out there, so we went with the cane sugar instead, and we let people know that, look, this is how it's made, because it's not just pure honey by itself. In order to bind honey with to make it granulated, it had to be binded with some type of raw sugar. So, but again, people look at the calories, 28 calories. You can't go wrong with that. That's for a cup of tea, sweetened.
So, Maury,
not bad at all.
I have to imagine.
Yeah.
I have to imagine you don't make your own honey. Like, how do you source your honey? Like, I'm sure you have to make you want the highest quality honey. How do you make sure you have the highest quality honey possible for your product?
Well, we get the information from granulated honey is already mass produced, but there's about maybe 50 different companies doing it. So we asked for their spec sheet on the information on what it's made with. Like I said, cane sugar is the purest kind of sugar purest and the cleanest that you can eat. You can consume. So if they use anything other than cane sugar, I want to deal with it. Give an example. Domino's wanted our business, so they said to us, "We'll give you a pound of our granulated honey for 58 cents per pound." Now, mind you, we were paying at the time $3-4 a pound. We're like, oh hell, take that, send it to us. So they sent us samples. So I go to drink smells great and everything. It's honey, I can smell it. I decide to, put it in a tea bag and mix it with one of the green tea, and I go to taste it. It tastes like nothing but sugar. So I started giving out samples because, you're trying to cut corners, you're trying to save money. So 58 cents a pound as opposed to $3 a pound is, good for your pocket.
Unique economics,
but it was too good to be true.
Sense.
Absolutely, but it wasn't, it wasn't to be. So we went with we get the information for that. Our granulated honey is coming from a company in the Midwest. So we vetted them, like you would not believe, as far as their ingredients, what was in there, and so that we can give. So they send us the spec sheets. So if anyone needs to figure out what's in it, they can always go on our website to figure out how we make our honey. We don't actually make the granulated honey ourselves. I think some people think we do that, but no, we don't do that. That's a process that, and thank God there's other companies that do it. Because when we first started out, me and my partners, we tried to crystallize our own honey by setting it out in the sun, all kinds of things, and it just didn't work, So we were able to find a company. We went through maybe 20 different companies, and we narrowed it down to one main company. We have a backup company out in California just in case. So yes, it's again, and most people look at the calories, look at the calorie content, the sugar content, calorie content, especially if you're a healthy, person consumes healthy goods, healthy foods, I should say. When they read the calorie intake or the calories on the box, and then they taste it, they absolutely love it. So
Maury, you took a seed equity investment. For that, did you go fundraise? Did you look for them yourself, or did the money sort of come to you? How did that work out?
Well, the money came to us actually. Once I pitched to my partner Greg, and then he went to, because Greg worked for he worked. He's now he's full-time Maury's IT now, but he worked for a hedge fund company, and he went to him and said, "Look, I have a great idea, guys. Who wants to get on board?" And once they tried it out and they looked at the packaging and or before our previous packaging, and Greg said, "Look, this might be something." The key, Jason, is no one's doing what we're doing. If you can get that through to the investors that we're the only ones doing this right now, if we can get this out there before copycats, it can be huge. We want to, because we know once it does really blow up, we're going to get copycats, but we want to be the first, and that's what we strive to be. Again, the money came to us, and like I said, I was able to even to save money from training to even invest in my own company. They call it an investor, and I don't know if it's an investor and handler. The one that and my partner Greg was like, well, we have people for that. I'm like, no, I want to invest in my own company, because they say you don't own your company until you invest it, invest in your own money. So I decided to do that. I invested $1,000, and I listen. What we have, Jason, is a special product, and I'm not just saying that. If you're a tea drinker, again, we do these demos, and I'm only going on the reaction from the customers. They love it. Most people don't even know what whole leaf tea is. They're used to drinking the Lipton or the Tetley or that shit that doesn't taste like much of anything. And then when they taste our product, they taste the bold flavor of the tea. And then not only that, but then they say to themselves, okay, is this worth $10? Is it worth spending $10? Again, it's the quality, and then the number one thing I think, or number two, other than taste, is convenience. They love the convenient part of it. All you need is you can take it, put it in your purse. All you need is get pour a cup of hot water, whether at the office or at the gym, drop the tea bag in, let it steep, and you're good to go. So we push those things on people, because again, people will pay for convenience if the product is good. So, and another thing, Jason, I'm not, like I said, I don't need to jump through hoops to sell my product to get people, to sell my product if it's mediocre. It's not. It's some good shit we have pushing here. So, and I'm only saying that because of the feedback we've gotten over the years from our tastings and demos and testimonials. So, it's when you say we mentioned the guarantee. Yeah, we guarantee it because our product, it's good. It's some good stuff. So
Maury,
that's why yeah.
Can you talk about how you market and sell your product?
Yes. Well, once we got the capital, it all started basically. It was all social media blitz. I mean, we were on every major social media platform, and then because before I even got out on the road, like I said, we were doing social media blitz, and then what we started doing was we started giving people incentives to buy the tea, at least to try the tea, by, for instance, free shipping, or if you don't like it, guaranteed money back. But to start out, it was basically word of mouth. Well, I should say, advertising via social media, which we did. We spent a good chunk of change doing that, and then word of mouth, and we're still growing to this day. What we're looking for now is we're looking for some major, not necessarily major person or major figure, to give us a plug. So we're constantly hashtagging. We look for people who love tea, athletes, movie stars, musicians. We're constantly looking for those things, and that's Melanie. She's hashtagging, offering this. Like we sent product to Oprah, but we sent it to Oprah at a wrong time, because at the time she was a partner with Tazo Tea. So we were like, oh, she's not going to respond to that to our product. So we never knew what happened to it. But it was mainly to get us off the ground, because again, during last year, you couldn't really get out there during the pandemic. So we blew up social media with our product, and it really paid off. So
which social media platform do you have the most success on?
I would say right now it'd probably be Instagram. LinkedIn is growing. Twitter is growing, but I would say Facebook was good, but Instagram was by far our best avenue. We picked up endorsements from Instagram. It was, and I got to give all that credit to Greg, because I didn't know crap about how to get our product out there like that. And we got the money, we got the investment money, and Greg, he mapped everything out, and every dime was accounted for, and we did a social media blitz, and it paid off. So now, to the point to where he's able to quit his job, and I'm able to dumb down my training to spend more time with Maury's Hive Tea. So,
and are most of your customers in the Northeast, or are you nationwide?
Oh well, because thanks to our online, we're nationwide now. We're in, I think, 38 to 40 different states right now that have ordered. So, but yeah, it's nationwide. We were mainly in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut at one point, even before the investors came along, meaning we were getting orders from and stores in the area. But once we did the social media blitz, and then I got on the road. We went up into Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and up into northern New England, and we're still climbing. So, listen, we still have our work cut out for us, but we're a hell of a lot, far along than we were, 2 years ago. So
Yes. So Maury, I got a brain freeze real fast.
yes.
So of course, you know, you want to sell all tea lovers, all tea drinkers. But is there a certain demographic of tea lovers you want to go to, like, you know, 25 to 35-year-old females, or like
No.
boomers, or is it like any kind of certain demographic to market, or is this all tea lovers?
Well, good question, Jason. In the beginning, you know, we thought we could just market to, you know, the older, maybe mid, you know, late 20s and up. But then what we found out that was a lot of kids, college kids, you know, even kids were starting to drink tea. And I started doing the tastings and the demos, and I would present this to them. And again, it's all about convenience. You know, these kids were like, wait a minute, I don't need any sugar? Nope. I don't need any honey? Nope. And then they would drop it in and try it, and they love it. So now we have kids. When I was at New York Sports Club, I had a bunch of kids during the summer coming in, and I would give out samples, and then they were like, I would like to order your tea. So we went from, you know, that you know, late 20s, early 30s group to 17, 18. So we market to anybody at this point because, again, if you think about it 20, 30 years ago, you know, I was drinking tea 20 years ago. I was a coffee drinker, you know, so we had to, what changed? So we said, you know what, the convenience, and then we had the granulated honey already in the bag. That changed everything. So it just brought people towards us to look, we like your product. You know, I was doing clients in homes, and not just the moms and the dads that I was training, but the kids were drinking as well. So, you know, we market to any and everyone at this point. So
Maury, I have no idea, but I have to imagine there's not very many black-owned tea companies in the world of the United States, right? Can you talk about like being a black-owned company, and specific for a tea company, like the challenges, rewards, like advantages or disadvantages on that whole thing right there?
Right. Well, you know, it's funny when we first got started. You know, people kept saying that you're black-owned. My biggest challenge, Jason, was not so much. I didn't see my skin color at first. I just wanted to get a product that we had out there. Okay. Now, once I got out there, that's when I started noticing, oh yeah, you're a black-owned tea company. I had some people kind of, you know, going into stores, and, you know, people looking me up and down like, no, I'm not interested. And I've had that happen quite a few times. Nothing direct, but it's a feeling or something that I've dealt with all my life, so I knew what it was. But to own my own, to be a black-owned entrepreneur, I tell you, like I said, I mentioned this before, it's a great feeling. And what I would want to do, Jason, is once this blows up, I literally want to go back to all the people that I know who to this day are trying to get their product off the ground. People of color, not just black people. Look up people of color and pull them up, because there's some great ideas out there right now that are not even getting looked at, and it's pretty sad. And it's, you know, the banks clamped down after 2008, but I had a ill feeling towards the banks before that. You know, when it comes to dealing with you know, black-owned businesses, because of people that I've known in the past who tried to own a business. But no, it's a great feeling. You know, I get, you know, people, oh, great for you, good for you, but, you know, good for me. No, that don't look at me as being a black person. Look at me as being an entrepreneur. You know, look at me as having a good product that I'm trying to get out there. And again, I always leapfrog over the, you know, the parts of the being a black-owned business, because again, you know, you can also go down a rabbit hole as to why you think, you know, there are a lot of black people who can't start companies, and we know that to be, you know, again, that's politics I don't want to go into, but it's there. It's there, live and well. But I don't pay attention to all that. I look at what I have. I had a great product. I take care of myself physically, you know, and when I walk upon people, you know, it's not, oh, you got my product. It's, no, look, you know, we have a good product. My name is Maury Pittman, and, you know, most people don't see color after that. They look at my product, oh, okay, this is great. But being a black-owned company, it's great and all, but my biggest thing is pulling other people of color up and bringing them up and letting them shine, get the opportunity to show the world what they have and what they can do. It's tough. It is. You know, I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but again, I'm here now, and I'm going to grow this business. And again, once I get it up and running, I'm going to slowly bring everyone else up. I have two best friends who have good ideas, great ideas, who need funding, and they're literally watching me to see where we go. So, you know, they can piggyback, and I'm willing to do that. And don't get me wrong, not just people of color, but majority. people of color I would like to help out. I would like to help anyone out. But again, I know who has the hardest time in this situation, and that is people like me. This country is a little lopsided when it comes to, letting people be themselves and grow their own business and even give them the opportunity. So I want to get on. I want to pull some people up and help anybody for the most part, but the majority, I'm going to pull up people of color because, everything's stacked against them to begin with.
So Maury, can you talk about this? And this is my personal opinion, right? There's a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs out there, and they'll say like they're black owned, military veteran owned, put blank, whatever, blank space on, whatever it is, right? And a lot of them seem like they expect to be supported by a community without providing a great service, a great customer service, great product. They expect, well, like I'm Jason Cavlis, I have a veteran company. All veterans should buy my HR because I'm a veteran, right? And I think too many people have that has the mindset, right? Like, how do you change that? I mean, you gotta have no more likely to come to me because I'm a veteran, but I still have like a great product, great service, right? It just can't be, here's my business, right?
Right. Well, I mean, and that's another good question. Me starting out, I learned from how I got started. And, I mentioned the fact that, I'm not selling you some half-ass fluff product, so I'm going to market and advertise to no end to push some mediocre product. No, I believe in what I'm doing. My product is good. So by me looking for other entrepreneurs coming up, they're going to have to have the same feel about it. You're going to have to love what you're doing. The product or whatever you're trying to push, you're going to have to believe in. Does that product, if it's something, like a device, does it work? Or, I don't have time for the mediocre. If it's mediocre and if I think it's, give an example. Melanie bought these ice creams yesterday from a store and it was a green tea, whatever. Now the packaging was great. It looked great, but then when I tried it, it tasted like crap. So my question is, how the hell did they get that far with that product? Now, my son is a guinea pig. He loves sweets. He didn't like it. So you knew it wasn't a good product.
He doesn't pass the sun test. It's a no-brainer.
That's right. So, so to answer your question again, I don't deal with the fluff. I look at the person. If you believe in, if you're, number one, if your product's good, number one, regardless of what you're selling, if your product is good and it does what it says it's going to do, or it does what you advertise it to do, then that's number one. It also depends on the person that's pushing that product. Are you ready to work hard? And again, like you said, I'm a black-owned business. Well, just because I'm a black-owned business doesn't mean and you go to a black function and you got a mediocre product. One thing about black people, they're going to tell you, this is not good. Trust me. And for instance, to give an example, most my parents are from the South. Well, my mom likes the tea, but the reason why she doesn't love it is because it's not sweet enough.
I can imagine.
But that's their generation. That's their generation. So I get that. So it's not. I'm not. I don't really target their generation because I know that that's what I grew up on.
So your mom like, where's the sugar at?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she likes it, but she's like, I like it a little sweeter. So she adds a little more honey to it. So, which is fine because she likes the whole leaf tea. That's the benefit she likes from it. But like I said, to answer your question again, it's not just if you got to have a good product. Number one, forget about that just because. No, it's a good product. The person pushing that product, what are you willing to sacrifice to put your time and to really, because like you said, you got to put your work into this. You got to put your heart and soul into this. You can't go dibble and dabble. I'm going to go do this and do that. Then, oh yeah, I have a business to run. It doesn't. Eventually, the business overtakes you. You see what I'm saying? If you're really trying to push that business, like I said, I'm able to be a personal trainer because I know that like the back of my hand. I've been doing that forever. And then, to come back and do Maury's Hive Tea, I know I rest on the fact that, Melanie and Greg and myself, we're pushing people like, it's not like we're not selling mediocre shit or fluff or whatever. No, it's good quality tea. So when I go to look for people that I want to help out or pull up or whatever else, I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for, like I said, I'm looking for your product to be decent or to do what it says it's going to do, or, and again, what value do you as an owner add to that product? Like for instance, me being a personal trainer. So when I meet you for the first time and you say, well, looks out of weight and doesn't take care of himself. Well, then that says it right there. I mean, we meet, I say I'm a personal trainer, you'd be like, I can see that. It's what I because I live it. I'm not just a personal trainer going out to training people. I love taking care of myself. Same thing with my tea. We live this. We make sure that we got the best ingredients. We got, it tastes great. The packaging looks damn good. So for us, we're on something. We're on that path. And again, people who want to, start to do what we do, it's you got to work hard. It's a lot of hard work, and here's the deal. Here's the deal with that. You cannot be afraid to work hard. Okay, you can't be afraid of that because it I'm on my 12th year and we're still growing. So it's you're gonna be told a no most times because most people don't like change. Most people go to freaking Amazon. They already know what they need. They already know what they want. They're not looking for your tea. So how do you stand out from that? So in fact, Amazon just came to us, tracked us down, and said, "Look, we want to carry your product." Now, a few years ago, we tried to get up there. They're like, "Yeah, whatever, whatever." Now they're looking for us. So we're doing something right here. We're doing something right.
So Mark, earlier in our talk, you said that there came a time you knew you had something special. Can you talk about when that clicked in your mind? Like, okay, we have something special here. Like, how'd that come about?
Right. I do know that. I knew, the first, I would say the first demos, the first maybe 5 to 10 demos that we did, literally the first 10. And I was scared like you would not believe. I was like, oh, people, and I swear every person, even if they didn't buy the tea, they loved it. That was my kryptonite. I mean, that was not kryptonite. It was my motivation because you get these little old ladies, you get the young kids, and I would say, you camped out for 2 to 3 hours trying to push your tea, and when you get people to try it to the point where like, oh, this is good, it kept going, it kept going. I looked at Mel one time, I was like, I think we're really onto something, and it just kept building because we had when I started selling the tea bags at New York Sports Club, but that was different because once you got out there in the masses and start dealing with different cities and different people, different towns, different areas, different stores, and getting the same results 9 times out of 10 about your product, then you're on to something. Literally, it was okay. We don't have to change anything at this point because we kept dabbling with how much granules you leave in the bag. How tea format's easy. You use about most people use about between 1.8 and 2 grams of tea in every tea bag. But the granulated honey, which I won't tell you how much we use in there. But yeah, that was tricky at first because we kept getting so many mixed comments about, oh, it's too sweet or not sweet enough. So finally, we came up with a right amount of balance to where we can say, okay, fine, you can steep this tea at your level of sweetness. And once we did that, then we knew we were on something.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a game changer. That right there,
absolutely.
I think that definitely sets you apart. I think.
Absolutely.
So, you always talk about the sum through our talk, but can you go into more detail, like how the company got started, like the beginning of it, what you're focused on right now for your company, and what's your future plan, and what's your future plans for the company?
Gotcha. Well, how we got started was it's in my bio. Well, maybe not on the website. Everything goes back to me training at the gym. It was December. I think it was December of 08 or 09. No, further back, maybe 06. And I was training his client. He was an older guy, maybe close to 70, but a health nut. Loved his green tea, oolong tea, knew everything about teas and everything. So I had the sniffles. I was coming down with something, and he goes, "I have a bag of green tea if you want it." I was like, "I'm not a green tea drinker." Oh, he started running down the health benefits of tea. And I was like, oh, "That's good." So, when he left, I tried. Oh, the aftertaste was bad. I did. So I called him up from it. I'm not a big fan of this green tea. I said, we talked. I said, I want to try it with sugar, but I wasn't a fan of sugar at the time. I really of eating what I put in my body. And he goes, well, there's agave. So we're like, agave. But then after doing our research I realized that it was all hype. Agave was better than sugar with honey. Then we came up with crystallized honey on our own. So before we knew there was a market out there. Long story short, we found a company. We sent away for the samples. And then once that started happening, I started making tea bags for the clients at the gym. I would go home at night, put my voice down to sleep, and I would stay up and make tea bags and sell them $1 a bag. to the point, hey guys, Melanie, I think we're onto something here. So we went ahead and we filed our license for Maury's Hive Maury's Hive Tea through the state of New York. And we got all the proper paperwork. And then I hooked up with a graphic design artist to help me come up with our first box pack. It was in a craft box at the time. And she came up with that. And I got someone to help us do the trademark. And it was a process, but it all lined, it kept going. We just kept moving. We kept getting things, accomplishing things, getting things done. And once we found, and we also did it's kind of funny. We did for packaging, I brought a bunch of tea wrapped in these little colorful bags to get a feel for who would grab which color. It was amazing how we did this. And we had orange, yellow, red, green, and black. And it would have two bags of tea in each bag with a ribbon around it. And people started grabbing the yellow, they took the red, and they took the orange. And we were like, okay, so why are they taking these colors? We did our research. Those colors, for some reason, made you feel good, made you feel better. That's how we came up with the first packaging. That's how we did it.
Yeah, Maury, you know, that's a good lesson. Like before I became an entrepreneur, like someone would say pick blue, or like blue. They would like, no, I had not an idea. Like blue colors had numbers, right? Like RBG, all the stuff blue. Like I have like 7 different versions of blue. I had no idea the numbers assigned to blue, right? All this, or like colors meant things, right? Like if you do blue, you feel like this. Orange, you feel like this. You know,
psychological. It's also like and. Because and I don't talk enough about him. My mentor, his name is Michael Corey, who got me started on this. He was my client. He was the one who came up with the idea about the color coordination as to whatever they pick off because people walk into the gym and right on the front desk we had them all lined up. Said, feel free to take one if you like. And I started noticing the colors that they were taking, and I would go back and replace it with the same color as they take it, and boom, it would take it. So they left majority of the other colors, but they took 3 main colors. That's how we came up with the initial for the Maury's Hive Tea green and black boxes.
That's great customer research right there. That's how you do it.
That's right. But thank God to my mentor, because he was like, look, we got to get the people. How do you get to these people? And he came with that idea. And Melanie put together these little, they were like these see-through, like colorful little with ribbons on. She did it up so nice. Because people were like, oh, what is this? It caught their attention. And then, but again, they started grabbing what they wanted, and then so we knew then the color coordination, the color scheme that we were going to. We didn't let people know what we were doing at the time, but and then they left, like I said, they left the black sitting there, they left the red sitting there, but I left the yellow, the orange, and there's one other color. But yeah, that's how we got it started. But it was well thought out before we even put our first product out there. So. My business plan was over 100 pages. The business plan took, we didn't have a 10-page business plan. It took me maybe 5-6 months. We did it a couple of times a week, me and my mentor. I would go over to his house after, day of training, and we would bang it out with graphs and everything. It was well thought out. So when we presented that business plan to professionals, they were like, they expected this little rinky-dink, few pages. We pulled it out and they're like, here you go. And they were like, whoa. It was, and then they went through like, wow, this is well thought out. And so we knew we were on the right track then. And that led from selling $1 a bag to boxing, putting it in boxes, and then putting it on shelves. And it was a chilling feeling when you see your product on the shelves for the first time. It was just weird.
I bet it's even better feeling when you see the product going off the shelf for the first time.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Doing the demos, when you go into these places for the first time, and you're trying to sell boxes, well, the key to these demos in these stores is they want to see you sell your product off their shelf while you're there. So that was great for us because we were doing average 25 to 30 boxes every time we did a demo. And we were only there for 2.5 hours. So for them, they were like, oh, wait a minute. At the time, the price tag was someplace for $14 for a box, $15. And people they were buying it. So once they tasted it and bought it, and then the key was that was the beginning. It was the return customers to make sure that they would go back and look for it, and that continued to happen as well. So,
and what do you focus right now for your company?
Right now, it's funny. I guess it's a good question. I'm trying to change the direction of where I'm looking to go right now. As of last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we have tried to reach out to, and now that the economy has lifted, airlines, hotels, what's the other? Airline, hotels. There's another one, but yeah, we're looking to get contracts with these hotels where individually wrapped Maury Hive tea, green or black, can be put in the hotel to where the clients come in, and we hooked up with a professor over at Portland University wants to help us out to work with us for marketing. He suggested that we go down that path as well because going into stores is great and everything, but again, try to find something different. There was a cookie store with the boys, a cookie company where my boys lived. They were made these little chocolate chip cookies. I forget the name of them. Well, they got their start on United Airlines, not in stores. The first major contract was United Airlines. That's what gave me the idea. So we're looking to push it individually instead of taking it out of the box and make them individual and then selling them to by the hundreds to hotels or even coffee shops. Just something a little different than just going into retail stores.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes any sense how you do it, but I know like a lot of Airbnb hosts have like no coffee, tea in the house. Like I don't know how you do that because there's a lot of Airbnb people you have to reach out to one-on-one.
Right. Well, they all have brokers, just like a retail store. They have brokers too. Mm-hmm. And the key to this, what I've learned is, in order to deal with some of these companies, you're going to have to sell your shirt to get them to do business. It's kind of sad, but if we can do a contract, with say the Hilton for 1,000 hotels, and they're doing 1,000 bags per month, and 1,000. I mean, that's how you start to grow, and that's how you start to get recognition. So that's my focus now. Is that I did the retail thing last year. We're still trying to get into stores. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to put a little bit more energy into taking Maury's Hive tea to other levels, to other like I said, airlines. They're starting to serve again. I flew business class back in, I think it was 2007, to California to a co-packing company at the time, and they would give me. I asked for a cup of tea, and they gave me Lipton. So I pulled out my bag of tea out of my bag, and I dropped. And the guy sitting next to me goes, "What is that?" I said, I explained to him what it was, and he said, "Can I try it out?" He tried it out. He loved it. Again, it never gets old for me. So that started the wheels turning again at that time. But then, like I said, the economy tanked and things went completely south at that time. So we kind of got away from all that and said, let's just try to get it into stores. Now we're getting into retail stores. Now we're going to try to spend more time in getting into specialty areas. Like I said, I think the hotel industry is huge. I think the airline industry is huge. We just have to have the right, know the right people to get it in there. And I think if we push it, I think it may work out for everyone.
So, Maury, for the future of your company, are you trying to get a certain amount of certain market share? Do you want to be known as the #1 tea company in the world? Like, what's your big term, like your moonshot vision for the company?
Good question. Listen, I want to grow. I want to grow my business. I don't want to grow it for the next couple of years. Some multimillionaire, billionaire comes and says, "I want to buy you out." I would like to grow. I think because again, being that this is the first of its kind, I would like to see this through. I mean, unless you came to me with a huge price tag, that's something different. Everything has a price, but $10 million, $20 million, no. I want to grow my business. I want to do this for the next 10 years, grow it, and see we can make it how much we can see what it's worth. Again, it's like I said, if I got $2 million off this tomorrow, I got 2 kids. $2 million is nothing.
I mean, that's nothing. Yeah, that's nothing.
It's nothing. I mean, I was, and don't get me wrong now, Jason, I do have other ideas. So I do have other ideas. I have 3 other ideas waiting in the wings. This is just the easiest to obtain at the moment. But I would like to see Maury's Hive tea grow. I want to be a competitor. I want to shake the leaf a little bit with other competitors saying, look, with the whole leaf tea, like Lipton's gotten away with that, their brand, their name for so long. But, and I can, I think their tea tastes like nothing. It tastes, if you taste whole leaf tea and you taste Lipton tea, you can't, it's night and day. But they're Lipton. They've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling that might be one of the companies that might come along and say, hey, can we scoop you up and buy you out? But again, it all depends. It all depends on what they offer. And like I said, I have 6, 7 partners. You have the price tag. The price tag's going to have to be pretty hefty in order, because again, I don't want to sell my company and walk away with $2, $3, $4, $5 million. That's no money.
Yeah,
in
based
the
on
end.
a time and money you invested in it and the sacrifice
Thank you.
you've done. That's
Right.
yeah, that's a
So,
lot.
yeah, that's my plan. I mean, again, I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
So is the plan to pass the company on to your son, or how's that going to work for you?
It's funny. Yes, we talked about that, Gavin. My son Gavin. I was like, yeah, maybe one day you could take over the company. Kind of looked at me like, what? He's only 13. But I think if I can, at least keep this company going for the next 10 years, who knows? He's going to be a freshman in high school, so he still has 4 more years of high school, and then college. Obviously, who knows? I mean, I want to say college, but the way the world's going today, who knows where? I mean, I'm not a big fan of college today like I used to be, but that's another story. But I would like to, yeah, if Gavin, if he's interested, I'm not going to force him to do anything like that. But if he's interested in, and if he wants to work with me, he can do so. But we're that's still kind of in the early stages right now. So
Maury, talk about this, and feel free to disagree with me if you want to. But from my point of view, like Gavin has a great advantage being your son, right? Just because he's learning how to be an entrepreneur, right? He's seeing what you're doing. Like entrepreneurs are rare breed, right? Most kids don't get to grow up to see anyone be an entrepreneur. Like everyone has 9 to 5, they complain about the job. But see, he's seeing you hustle, work hard, and he's seeing the benefits of it, right? I just think of that that's more valuable than any education get, even Harvard or any kind of big time school. So I just think he's got his big advantage, like just observing you.
That's right. And again, there's times when Dad, can we do this? I'm like, sorry, Gavin, I have to make tea. So he gets it. There have been times when we brought him to the shop because I had him with me. I'm like, look, you want to be with Daddy today? I got to go make tea for a couple hours. So he gets it. He sees the sacrifice. But Gavin's seen the sacrifice for the past 8. Well, I would say since 13. I think he really started noticing it around 8 or 9. With the packaging and even his mom, who used to drink the tea, doesn't drink it anymore for whatever reason. But he gets it. When I first came up with my new packaging, I gave him, because he drinks the tea, I gave him a box he should take home. That was also a shot at his mom. Like, yeah, we're still moving, Mom. We're still doing it. But he understands. I mean, he sees the hard work that Melanie and myself put in day in and day out. Because I spend quite a bit of time with him. I see him probably 4 or 5 days a week. I just recently in the last 4 or 5 months got him into boxing. So because I have to put the time in with my boys. I mean, if I could spend 8 hours at doing tea and 4 hours training, I got to spend the last 2 hours with my boys. Because and if I didn't, Gavin, he requests that time. He needs to be around his dad. So, Gavin, it's right now it's a little early to tell, but I give it a few more years, and maybe when he's pushing his late teens, see what he wants to do, because I would love to get him involved in it, to carry the torch, and to make sure financially that he's good, after I'm gone. But it's a little too early to tell right now, but. So, he definitely notices what we're doing.
So, Mark, like through this, we talk about how being a entrepreneur is kind of hard, it's not easy, but there are some positives, right? Like one positive is like if your son or child has a baseball game 2 in the afternoon, you would probably take off some time and watch the game, right? Like there are some advantages there. Can you talk about some of the advantages of being an entrepreneur?
Well, believe it or not, it's the reaction you get from the public, believe it or not. Not just being an entrepreneur, but now I can say being a Black entrepreneur. Because when people say, I'm in a gym one time and I'm training, I'm doing my thing, but then I got my tea sitting up on the counter, and people come like, oh, what's this? Oh, that's one of our clients. That's our trainers. That's his tea. And they look at you like, okay, you're a trainer, and you got this going on here. So it's a great label, but I'm past the point of just being labeled an entrepreneur. Now I want to live it. Now I want to make sure that we started something. I want to finish this through, because like I said, it's my family members were like, I got this in the beginning. Tea? Why are you doing tea? Even the trainer, one of a gentleman who makes supplements, who I used to buy supplements I don't buy anymore. And I pitched my idea to him. I said, look, I got my tea. He looked at me, goes, why are you doing that? Why don't you open up your own gym? And that was my, believe it or not, that was my idea. That was my, that's what I wanted to do about 10, 15 years ago, was start my own gym. But I got sidetracked because after 2008, I saw how everyone struggled. Who, former trainers who I worked with at New York Sports Club all branched out to do their own thing. Gym here, a gym over here, and I say out of the 8 guys who tried, only 2 are still standing to this day, and they're struggling. So, that was something that I wanted to do at one point. And once I realized that once I found Maury's Hive Tea, I said, you know what? I don't want to struggle like that. I'd rather make this sacrifice here because this can be more profitable. And again, like I said, with my 2 boys, like I said, I'm 54 years old. I don't want to be a personal trainer at 65. I don't want to do that. I'll be taking care of myself at that age, but by that point, I don't care to be doing this work anymore. I've been doing it for such a long time, and I am exhausted. I am exhausted to the point to where I'm even debating not recertifying coming up and spend more time doing this. But that entrepreneur label, it meant something in the beginning, but now I got to pull this off first. It's past that point.
That makes sense. So
I'm in the thick of it right now, and I have a ways to go.
So Maury, each day you have a lot to do, right?
Yes.
Each day, what's your system for making sure you work on things 1 through 5 versus working on things number 95 through 99 on your list?
Right. Well, I have a routine. My schedule as far as training, I do that. I have a set schedule. The same people I train. So I haven't taken on. Well, that's not true. I took on a new client yesterday because he basically begged me for my help. I couldn't tell him no, but I have a set schedule, and to the point to where, like I said, we're a 3-man team, so we all have our own responsibilities. So my responsibility, other than my training, is again the face of the product, going out and meeting people. That's all scheduled. Then, for instance, my son Gavin has boxing at 3:00. I will go scoop him up, take him to boxing, go do a session because it's all tangled in together. Do a session for 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Go grab him, drop him back off at his house. Come back. If it's tea that needs to be made or tea that needs to be delivered or me going to work out, I have a schedule. I'm not doing this anymore. That's another thing. You're going to be an entrepreneur. You have to have a set schedule. And Melanie used to always say to me, write everything down, write everything in, I used to never listen to her. And finally, when I started doing
Great advice.
Sure enough, things started coming into play. And that was because when you're young and you're moving, things are moving. Oh, I got this. Oh, you were meeting here, meeting there. In my head, all of a sudden, I started forgetting things. And I said, you know what? No, this is not working. Then I told you, write things down and plan everything out. So that's what I do now. So you have to be able to juggle. I mean, again, now there are times your schedule can get thrown off. Like for instance, Tyler, if he has a situation where it's at school or he falls and bumps his head or he has a seizure, well, everything's out the door. And now he gets all my attention because that's just the way it is. But Melanie's aware of that. Greg's aware of that. My clients are aware of that. So there's no issue with that. It doesn't happen often. Not few and far between now as opposed to when he was younger. But now it's scheduling and I have my moments where I am stressed out. But that's why I work out, Jason. Because when I go to the gym, it releases all of that. And my workouts are not your average workouts.
I can imagine you lifting a lot of crap in there.
Yeah. Well, it's not even about lifting heavy stuff anymore. You got to be smart. I mean, I'm 54. I got to be smart about it these days. I have a lot of lingering injuries from all the heavy lifting in the past that I regret. But now I do things smarter. I take better care of myself. I make sure my form is good. I love kettlebells. That is my, if I could pick one piece of equipment to use, it'll be a kettlebell, because you sit me on an island, you can do everything with that thing. So, and I pass that on to my clients. But again, I have quite a few stressful days. Mel can attest to that. But again, once I hit the gym, that adrenaline flows, I get those endorphins moving. It literally brings me down. It's almost instant. and then I hit that reset button. I'm on to the next day. So it's great. It's good. It's good. But you need a plan to do that. You need something to fall back on, because in being an entrepreneur, you're going to have a ton of stress, and you need a way to release that stress. So,
Maury, so you talked a lot about your people, Greg and Melanie. Can you talk about how they came to you? Like, were you friends of the past, or how do you convince them, quote unquote, to come help you out?
Well, it's funny. I met Melanie through a client that I trained. She was a nanny years ago, and I met her. And then it's funny because it was when I left the gym, and I said, let's go. Then I started training her. And I said, look, no, I have to get this wrong. I trained Melanie years ago, and then I trained a client, and then I started training her again. I said, look, we came up with this really good idea. I said, called with tea and honey. Well, she jumped on the computer, I think Melanie was the first one to start looking for the granulated honey. She was the one who found it. They found out that there was a market for it. So that's how we started going back and forth, this and that. And then before you know it, she was my go-to person to just talk about tea, other than my mentor. So when it was time to, start looking for certain teas and, searching out granules, that was all me and her. Now we would take the time out, and she worked. She was a nanny, so she worked at this nice house, and it had a nice kitchen. That was our office. We set up shop there, and the owners were fine. They loved it. They were like, "Oh, I like your idea, this and that." So, in fact, that we started making tea in her house on those big island counters. That's how we started. That's when we started mass producing. So we started making it by hand. That's how I got it out there, not machine or anything. It was by hand. We would put it in, measure it out, seal it up, and that was a process. And then, it just, she stayed with me from there. And I stopped, I didn't reach out because I didn't want too many people to know what I was doing at the time, because I was so afraid of someone stealing my idea. So I kept it, close-knit between the two of us and my mentor. And she just helped me grow the business slowly. She helped me apply for my first business license. And Ty was born, and the situation with him with his epilepsy, I would take time off. I would literally get scared. She goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll take care of it. Don't you worry about it. Do what you need to do." And then that kind of set in, and then we just kind of went on cruise control and started building the product, building the brand. And then about 2 years ago, another client. That's how I met Greg through another client. She said to me, she goes, "Look," she goes, "I want to give you a heads up." She goes, "If you really want to do this, I can introduce you to some people, but you're going to have to give up a pretty penny if you want." Of course, I went home like, "Oh, I don't know how much I'm going to have to give up." Then I met Greg for the first time. I literally sold him in 10 minutes. I poured him a cup of tea. I told him where we were. I showed him the business plan really quick. Smart guy. He goes, he didn't wait. He goes, okay. I'm going to talk. I'm going to pitch this to some people at my office, and I'll get back to you. Not even a week later, I had 4 or 5 additional new investors. That's how it worked out. And Greg took over. He became the CFA for the company. He handled all the money. He took care of all the social media. That was all Greg. He did a wonderful job, and I thank him for that to this day, because the guy he knows he's a geek. I hope you're not listening, Greg, but he's kind of a geek, you know what I mean? But hey, he's a smart as hell geek, and again, he took us to another level. I definitely owe him for that, But again, that being said, we still have a lot of work to do. So, we're still here. We're not going anywhere, Jason. We're on our way.
Maury, does tea have a shelf life?
No,
No,
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But for retail stores, you have to put a year on it.
Okay.
But no, the granulated honey has a 2-year shelf life, but the tea does not. In fact, the longer that tea sits, the better it is. We all know this, but when you're dealing with retail stores, you have to put an expiration date on it. So tea doesn't go bad. No.
So how long does
if it's properly stored?
How long does it take for tea to grow? Like when somebody, I have no idea if they grow on trees or plants. I have no idea how that works. But when a tea is planted, how long does it take to become ready to harvest or whatever?
Well, it's funny. I don't know the full detail, but from the little understanding that I have, it takes quite a bit, because you have to. It's like God, I was going to use marijuana as a
Great
as an
comparison.
example, right? But you have to groom it. You have to snip it as it grows, and I think it's up to maybe a year,
Okay.
maybe less. But it also has to be grown in a certain kind of environment too, though,
Mhm.
and that's why you don't see a lot of tea grown in the States. It's mostly grown in those hot countries, hot areas where it's hot. So I don't know of any tea being fully grown in the United States. I know there are companies that sell it, but they get it from these, they get it from either India or Africa, places that sell it. But it's a process, just like anything else. And the only reason I know about the marijuana is because because I took a course years ago about how to grow it. Because I thought I was going to get into that business, but I guess I did.
Yeah, well, no, I'm in the state of Washington, so marijuana growing is a big booming business up here.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Connecticut, New York, they're catching on now because it's legal in Connecticut. I think they're doing the finishing touches in New York as well. So I think it's just a matter of time before that's going to be legalized everywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be legal fairly pretty soon too. I think
Yeah, yeah.
So, this has been a great talk. Is there anything that I did not ask you, or anything else you want to talk about that we have not covered yet?
No. But I do want to say to people, listen, we're in tough times right now, and to people who are looking to even think about starting your own business, starting guys and gals, give it a shot. You got to give it a shot because I don't see this country getting better as far as people being able to make a good living. I grew up in the '80s where I remember when the country was thriving and things were great and the world was. It's a different time now, and ever since the economy tanked in '09, and then you got the pandemic, and that exposed a lot of our country. I think for people who are looking to really to do something different, and if you have an idea, guys, even if it's an idea, take a hard look at it. You got to try because I'm scared. I'm scared to death of where this country's going in the next 10, 15 years. I do worry about my kids because of that, but that's why I'm trying to grow a good financial foundation for them as well. But to those out there who are caught in between, a lot of people not going back to work because they feel that they've been taken advantage of long enough and they're looking to do something different. God, I mean, listen, whether it be an app, whatever, give it a shot, guys. You got to give it a shot because there's so much stuff out there that has not been tapped into yet. Like I said, I have other ideas. I just hope they don't steal those ideas, get to those ideas before I do. But you got to put your thinking cap on. Get a group of people together and friends, family, come up with ideas to try to come up with something to put your name on because again, like I said, I'm scared because I don't know where this country's going in the next 10 years. So, like I said, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and it's a lot to think about. But if you have that idea, guys, go for it. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose at this point? But that being said, give it a shot, but be prepared to put your blood, sweat, and tears into it because it's not going to grow by itself. Period. You may have a great idea, but it's not, word of mouth, get out there, put together flyers and stick them everywhere if you have to, just to, get the name out there. But it's, for me, I want people to, and again, in particular, people of color, Maury's Hive Tea is doing it. And, to those people who are waiting for us to get it done, be a little bit more patient because if I can pull this off, I'm coming back to get those guys and gals to help them get their business. And again, it'll be a great way to invest my company into new companies as well. So to help me grow because I want to be enterprise. My company name is NamTip, which is my Pittman, my last name spelled backwards. So when you see that, we're doing it. When you see the NamTip logo, that we're growing. So, but again, to those out there who are looking to grow their business, to start a business, to grow a business, listen, take the time and think it out. Do that, put together a well thought out business plan. Although I say business plans don't get me wrong now, guys, business plans are not, you don't follow a business plan to the T. Basically what it does, it just gives you, or say, investors an idea as to where you want to take your company, how you want to grow your business. So those 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-page business plans may not work. Get someone to help you do it. Like I said, it's make sure they're well thought out and, make sure that that also that your business, that the thing that you're trying to put out there is protected. Make sure because there's so many people out there trying to get ahead and copycat and the word we say is bite off of what you're doing. So just handle your business, handle all your paperwork, your all your licenses and certifications. Make sure everything up to par. And again, guys, it's a lot of work to the point where it can turn you off and turn you and put you in a different direction. But are you happy with where you are right now? What are you willing to do to pick yourself up and put yourself in a different situation? So it's got to be well thought out and give it a shot. So,
Maury, can you share your social media links for yourself and your company so people can reach out to you?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, you can go to Maury's Hive Tea, and you link to all the social media. You get to Facebook, LinkedIn. We got our Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, we're out there. But if you need to, you can go check out our website, mauryshivetea.com, and you can click on any link for social media if you want to post. You can even go out to our website and check it out. And if you've tried our tea, hey, give a testimonial, play devil's advocate. Let us know if you like it, if you don't. But so far, it's been good. We haven't gotten any negative feedback yet. So, but yeah, you can check us out on all the major social media platforms. And like I said, but we're growing. And if you haven't heard of us yet, guys, or you haven't seen us near you, we'll be there soon. So,
and for our listeners, we'll have the links to all the social media on the show notes. You can find the show notes at www.kevinshr.com. And also, as a reminder, here at Kevin's HR, we're getting ready to release our Kevin's HR MVP for our HR platform. And we're currently signing up people for our wait list. And we'll give you 3 months of free HR and lock you into a better pricing for life. And you sign up for the wait list at www.kevinshr.co. So, Maury, this is a great talk. I really appreciate you. Do you have any last minute wisdom or advice, anything you want to talk about?
Well, like I said, to those who are out there trying to get your own, and like I said, I'm really big on this, guys, because this pandemic really caught a lot of people off guard, but it also exposed our country for what we thought it was and it isn't. So again, if you're looking to, like I said, looking for a way to get to start your own business, or to even look for ways to invest in other companies, guys, get out there and do your research. Because again, it's not gonna fall in your lap. That's for sure. And I also want to bring up, I also want to circle back to this conversation. I want to somehow come to you and give out some free tea if we can. I can link with you and maybe you can do a little contest. And Maury, we can give out 2 boxes or 4 boxes each, maybe 8 to 10 different people just to try it out. We could talk about that, but I want you to listen. I've tried a tea, guys. If you're a tea drinker, give it a shot. Guaranteed you're gonna like it. If you don't like it, we will give. Well, if it's free, then no money back. But if you go to purchase it and you don't like it,
that's a hell of a guarantee. You get money back even if it's free.
If you give it to you, right? So again, we can talk about this, behind the scenes. But I want to thank you for having us. This is my very first podcast, so probably one of many. So it's a learning curve for me. So I really thank you, Jason, for having us on, and maybe we can do this again sometime soon.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Maury, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having us. And hey, Maury's IT's coming, guys. You better believe it.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.